So I guess I'm getting back into content creation. Woo! It's funny because a lot of my most popular videos on this channel have to do with these youngins that I'm about to talk about, and I keep going back to them because I don't know, I have the most intriguing things to say about these guys that, like, I don't want to just like come on here and say shit that everybody knows. Like, if I were to make a video titled LeBron James is a top 2 player of all time, like, that's not a hot take, bro. I'm not necessarily trying to have a hot take. I'm just trying to spark some discussion. All right, I'm still a casual, but the whole point of these videos is to let's talk about it and maybe, you know, give you an opinion or a perspective that you won't hear normally in media from other content creators, whatever it is. Because I be having those revelations. Like, I think of things, like I hear debates and whatnot about sports, and I think about, oh well, this is what I think, but I never see other people saying this, and it's like it be things that I just can't argue over a social media platform. Like, I gotta get on here and make these videos, you know what I'm saying? So I had some dumbass motherfucker a few months ago trying to tell me that the NBA isn't like a development league, and that when people come into the NBA, you know whether or not they're gonna be good, which is just so dumb because I can go down the list of people who just have been straight pro development, and arguably the 3 best players in the league, Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid, all had to do with their NBA development, their NBA level training. And what pro level training does to players, it revolutionizes them. They just never look like the same player. And then you take that and you combine it with just the difference of NBA basketball compared to really any other level of basketball, college or overseas, wherever these players are coming from. The NBA, the space and the rules are tailored to certain people's game, right? But more focused on just player development. I don't think people realize why rookies are never elite, right? Like, why a rookie doesn't come in and average 28 on 50% shooting, you know, when he's like Zion or Wembanyama, you know what I mean? And the reason is, I mean, obviously experience, but I'm going to go into why it's experience. And I think people fail to realize exactly, you know, what it is. So I'm going to start with my guy Paolo Banchero, who I had the privilege of watching him be inefficient but a stud at the same time his whole rookie year, right? And the whole thing about it, as a rookie, you don't realize how good you really are. In other words, you don't realize how much space you really have. And when you watch Giannis play the game, right, he's got it figured out. And that's those two, these players just need to figure it out in terms of their capabilities on the NBA court, right? I say all, it's easier said than done, because when you watch most NBA players play, especially from an overhead view, like on the cameras that we have, they can get to their spots, they can get to the open spots on the floor. It's a matter of really, really understanding, especially these stud guys, these freak athletes that come in, really, really understanding how good you are and how easy it is for you to get to the cup or get an open look or get fouled, right? And when I look at a guy like Giannis, he's the perfect example. He understands there is nothing anybody can do to prevent me from getting to the face of the rim, right? And I might not make the shot every time. They might know it's coming, but the rules of the game, as well as me just being a freakazoid, will allow me to, if I play straight up and not commit an offensive foul, I can get there every single time. And if they wall me up with 2 more defenders, obviously that's just basketball. You kick it out, right? You make the right pass. But I'm saying one-on-one, like it doesn't matter who's on Giannis, he's going to get to the front of the rim. Even if he gets blocked, even if he gets fouled, if he doesn't make the layup, he can get to the front of the rim every single time. And that's what he does, and he goes up strong every single time because he knows that. When I watch Paolo Banchero play, too many times he'll get to the elbow or get to the middle, and he's got all this space to work, where if he just took one dribble and went by left and then just took a pound dribble and put his body in there without extending, like, he's going to get face up to the rim, right? Every single time, because he's too big to be that crafty. It's almost like the LeBron effect in a way, except he's not LeBron, right? LeBron, you know, we know who LeBron is. He's not as fast as LeBron, but he has that craft, right, with that frame and that size, to where if he were to just put his head down You just have to know the pockets, know the seams. And so what do rookies always do? They do too much. They over complexify. Is that a word? They do way too much. They're over dribbling, whatever. The game is really simple when you're as athletically gifted as some of these guys are. Athletically gifted and skilled as some of these guys are. And so too many times I watch Paolo over dribble when he could take 1 or 2 dribbles and get to here. And yeah, you can make these difficult fadeaway mid-range shots, and that's what makes you so difficult to guard. But when you're getting downhill first, that's what's gonna open up those type of, you know what I mean? And then when people play you reverse, yeah, then you make them pay, right? You make them pay by one hezzy pound dribble, one in and out dribble right into your pull-up. You don't go in and out, pop, 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 and then pull up, bro. Like, you're not hardened. But anyway, that's not the point. The point isn't Paolo over dribbling, right? That's not, or taking a difficult turnaround fadeaway when he has the whole right side of the floor open to get downhill. The point is, it is a development and experience based league, just like any professional sport, really. But I think of it more so this and being a quarterback at the pro level. Development, experience based. Experience based. And so I segue into Victor Wembanyama and saying all he has to do other than stay healthy is figure it out. And I say all he has to do, easier said than done, because I think there's a good amount of players in NBA history that were athletically and skill wise capable of being him, and they never, maybe it's a confidence thing, but they never figured it out, right? Like, let me give you an example. I think in recency, James Wiseman, he was too big with too good of footwork, and he had touch to be bad, right? And if he just had one of the things is the motor, if he had the motor for it. But I mean, buddy, if you put your back to the basket and go straight up, don't fade, right? Turn, like, you get the ball on the right block, right? One little shimmy to the outside, to the middle, and go straight up. If you can master that little baby hook, you're unstoppable, bro. You're 7'1", 2, whatever, bro. Like, nobody can guard that in the league. And when I look at players like Jonas Valanciunas, who are like these slow-footed, unathletic guys, but they have really good touch, I wonder why people like James Wiseman can't do the same thing. DeAndre Ayton is a guy who James Wiseman could be, but better, because he's just bigger. He's bigger and more, maybe a little bit slower footed, but it's one of those things where it's just like, if you focus on your touch around the rim and simplifying the game and being a true big man, then maybe you won't be a all-star superstar, but like, you won't be a guy like Wiseman who is struggling to stay on a roster right now. And I think he'll find a home in Detroit because he has no expectations, and he'll start to figure it out. I mean, you just never know with these guys who have clearly shown, like, one of their main issues is just having a low motor and not like wanting it enough, it seems like. I mean, like, you can't tell me that a guy like Wiseman can't be at least 50-60% of the player that Joel Embiid is. He doesn't have the freakazoid, like, ball handling and like jump shooting ability that Embiid has, but he's got just about most of the other things. And so you can't tell me that if he worked with Embiid, he wouldn't be like at least a 14-9 type of guy that could do it on a championship roster too. Like, and this is where, to me, like, the NBA kind of ties into a sport like the NFL. And I might make another video on this topic, maybe, where you get drafted. Very much your development is dependent on that, right? Like, when you look at James Wiseman, he was drafted to a great franchise like Golden State. True. But guess what Golden State's never had? An elite center, right? And I'm not saying that's because of their development or whatnot, but Coach Kerr doesn't want to play through a back-to-the-basket center, right? He wants to run and play small, right? And so that's just not the place where James Wiseman needs to be. Maybe it's a shame on the franchise. Maybe they were thinking best available. Maybe they were thinking now is finally the time we do get an elite center, and then it's dangerous. But he doesn't fit. And so he, aside from injuries, he wasn't developed properly. If you gave him the like pop or something, you can't tell me he wouldn't be a better player. Like, he definitely would. I mean, come on now. He would want to play through Wiseman, his second overall pick of a massive center. I mean, I went a little off topic, I will say. The point of the whole thing was player development and talking about experience and stuff like that. And what I really wanted to say was that guys like Wembanyama and Banchero just need to figure it out, develop properly, watch the film, understand, oh, here and here and here and here I can get downhill. And I really do think, if you were to ask me, I can't say what these NBA players do on a daily basis. My prediction would be that watching film and really studying that shit is probably the difference. Of course, working on your craft in the off season and just wanting it, right? That's a big thing. But you can't tell me that like Giannis and these guys don't sit down and watch film and say, okay, like, wow, like I have a lot of space there. Like if I just put my head down, like I can definitely get to the rim and at least create the contact and draw a foul if I go straight up. And not everybody is that freak athletic skill combination that some of these guys are, especially the bigs too. I think the potential bigs are just like, the ceiling is just way higher because of the changing game and the skill set that they possess nowadays. And so if you don't take that to your advantage, if you don't, if you take that for granted, like you're just selling yourself short. But I mean, look, man, this video was just for me to return, okay? I was thinking, I was watching Wembanyama last night, and I said, all my guy has to do is really just figure it out, understand what he's got going on in the game, right? And he's gonna get there. I think he will. He's just got to stay healthy.